can ask just one question for 100 marks for your term test on chapter 2. I can just say, listen, here's a scenario, this is a business, do a SWOT analysis and a personal analysis on them, and you can get 100 marks from it. That's how. It's not going to happen. I said I'm not going to include any. There won't be any essay questions. But the content of this chapter is as such that you can actually have one question made up just that covers this entire chapter. But don't worry, it's not going to happen on Tuesday. Chapter 3. Now we're moving into our market environment, our customers, our competitors, which will be the next chapter, chapter 4. Components and factors that we can, to a certain extent, influence consumers. We are trying to influence them, to persuade them to buy our products. Okay, so chapter 3 deals with, addresses specifically the challenges that we as marketers have to try and figure out what makes the consumer tick. The backbone of this chapter, again, is the decision-making process that the consumer goes through before he or she makes or engages in a transaction. We've also touched briefly on the fact that businesses do business with other businesses as well. They are also consumers, but it's called B2B, business to business, where B2C is business straight to you as the individual consumer. Okay. Consumer decision-making process. I'm repeating what I've said when we did the chapter as well. At the start of every chapter, I said this is the backbone of this particular chapter. The consumer decision-making process is pretty much what this whole chapter embroids around. Chapter 4. Now we're dealing with another component in our marketing environment, which is our competitors. We can't influence our competitors. We can't dictate to them, but we can do some research on what they do. And that's what we did in this chapter. There are certain different strategies to follow to be able to understand what provides us with and where do we have a competitive advantage on our competitors, and where are they better than we are? In other words, where do they have a competitive advantage? The key components, often referred to as KSF, key success factors. What makes that particular business successful? What's the key factor that makes that business successful? That's the kind of information that you want to have on your competitors in the same market as you. Remember, we also covered some of the marketing structures or market structures. If I ask you now to name 3-4 different market structures for me, would you be able to? That's the word monopoly, oligopoly, perfect competition, and that's a market structure. Okay. While we're at that point, it's important, people, to no, I'll leave that for the end because it applies to every single chapter about how do we interpret certain questions. What does it mean if I require you to explain, indicate, list, name, describe, all of this, the different terminology, because that's important, because that tells you exactly what the question wants you to do. Okay, I'll do that at the end. Chapter 6, the other chapter that you have to complete and prepare for is about the STP process. Although we're not doing the P, because P is position, that's in chapter 7. Segmentation and targeting. The different bases, the different levels of segmentation, and in the different segmentation strategies, marketing strategies. Remember, we just did it about 5 minutes ago. Undifferentiated, concentrated, multi-segment. They're all segmentation strategies. Differentiate between the strategies, the different levels, and the different bases of segmentation. Okay. All clear. Any questions? Right. What I will do, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it later today after I've uploaded all the recordings. I'm also going to post an announcement on Canvas. And in the announcement, I'm going to provide you with the email address and a phone number that you can contact if you have technical problems during your exam. I have classes that I teach on a Tuesday, so you won't be able to reach me, but I will also not be able to help you with the technical issues. They are dedicated people, and that's why we've provided you with those numbers to contact. What happens if there's load shedding in the middle of a test? Well, you either send the email. Huh? That's why that email address and the contact number is important. Log it immediately. Don't sit back and say, oh, yes. Unfortunately, it happened. It can happen, people. I'm not trying to be devil's advocate here, but it can happen. If in a case like something like that, there is a number to contact for technical assistance. Okay. Right. You can still, in your preparation up to the test on Tuesday, if you have questions that you want to direct to me directly, use my email address. I'll be marking on the weekend. I'll be setting exam papers on the weekend, and I'll be marking again, and then I'll be marking some more on the weekend because that's that time of year for us. So I'm definitely not going to go for a hike. The weather doesn't look good either. Yeah, it's not bad, although it started drizzling again. I'm also not going to take the chance to go mountain biking. It's definitely not going to be beach weather. I'm pretty much going to be isolated to my home study and my son needs to study for exams anyway. So very much in the academic mood in our household on the weekends. And I think my wife's also, yeah, I think she's busy with the final module for a master's degree as well. Any questions for that matter that you might have as you start going through the chapters, don't send me an email and say, sir, remember that wish list that you expressed when we asked about what you'll do when you have the lotto? I can actually make some of them come true. Would you prepare to exchange that for the paper or question? No, I'm not going to do that. Okay, so it must be related to the work that you don't understand. And if you're unsure as you go through the chapters, when you, oh, hello there. Yeah, easy now. We're under attack here. Please email me directly. Okay, I will be. I usually would not respond to emails from students over weekends. Okay, but because you're writing a test on Tuesday, I will. Okay. Any questions at this point? Deirdre, was it you who had a question, or have you asked your question already?
Nee, meneer, ek het klaar gevra.
Okay, dood reg, so is nog steeds die vorige vraag. Anything else, anybody? As I said, important things that I want you to, don't stress about it. The paper has been set already. The paper has been loaded onto Canvas already. It's there. It's hiding. It's unpublished. It's locked for you. You can't access it yet. So it's not going to change. You can't change it either. Only thing that you can change is you can prepare for it. Do not change whatever methods of studying that you have used successfully. Don't change it now. It's like playing the entire competition and then just before the final, you change your strategy. You are more than likely going to lose that final. Okay, apply the same principle. Find that spot in your environment where you always sit when you study and when you do your online sessions. Make sure that you get everything that you need. Okay, you don't have to sharpen your pencils because you are typing your answers. Okay, make sure that if it's a cold day that you are comfortable. Make sure that you have your hot chocolate and your marshmallows or whatever will take you through the 2 hours of the test. That you have it with you, because once you started the test, the timer runs. Okay, if you need to go to the bathroom, it's fine, you can go. Nobody's gonna, but you can't pause the test. Okay, the time clock still runs, and it's 2 hours from the time that you started. Just you are familiar with it. You've done tests before as well. There's another question, yeah.
So say now your electricity trip or something will, you log back into Canvas, will automatically take you back to the quiz.
See, those are kind of technical questions that I have no answer to because I don't know, and that's why I have those people on standby. I'm not sure if it's logically I would say yes. It's like, but again, I don't know. It's not a team session. It's a formal assessment with a time setting restriction. So I'm not sure. But I do know, however, from platforms that we've used in the past, which Canvas is similar to, is that it logs the time that it actually happened. So it captures everything up to that point. It's not that it disappeared because there's a power failure. Okay, that much I know. Whatever you've done up to that point is not going to disappear. And okay, but exactly what the impact is. I've never. I'm assuming, and I'm spitballing as we try and and find a solution to this. Is that the question was, for those who haven't heard online, the question was, what happens if there's a power failure? I think you probably, from my answer, you've concluded that that was something similar, or questions along those lines were asked. That's why the technical support is there, and you will contact them in a case like that. But I know that in the past it was a problem if the exam was set for a certain time. With some online quizzes last year, we said the exam is from 8 to 10. You can only do it from 8 to 10. If you've missed it, sorry, you've missed your time slot. You can't do it later in the day. Now, as I said, I'm not 100% sure because it's open for the entire day. So will it allow you to resume the test? Will you be required to repeat the test but write a different one? Probably, because if it's open for the entire day, you can have such an event, but you can't do the same test again. So not all the students have completed the test yet. Therefore, question.
Tomorrow are we writing?
Excuse me?
Tomorrow are we writing?
Are you writing? Oh, yeah. Sorry. That's something else that I need to address as well. There is a class test that's open at the moment. And the class test is open till 12 o'clock tomorrow evening. Okay, so in preparation, you can use it in 2 ways. Remember, the class test is a preparation for your formal test. And class tests are preparations for your formal test and for your summative exam. That's exactly what it is. So the class test you can do anytime today if you want to, because we've completed the work that's covered in the class test. But some people will also say, I'm going to use the class test as part of my preparation for the test. I'm going to go through the chapters and then I'm going to do the class test, because then I'll know exactly where I stand, and it will help me. I can see if I can remember, regardless how you do it. But there is a class test that's open at the moment for the whole of today and tomorrow. But that's completely it's a separate activity than the formal test that you write on Tuesday. That should be the main focus.
Thanks, sir.
No problem at all. Anybody, have you had any problems previously with the way in which questions are structured? Read it. I usually try, and I think most lecturers try when they set the papers to highlight in bold the important words in a sentence. Like, for instance, I will highlight name. If I say name the following, name the 5 steps in this process, I will usually highlight name and in bold to ensure that you know that you have to name it. Name, people, means just list it. List means list it. List and name means exactly the same. Just name them. If it says name and explain, you will also find that when you look at your mark allocation, that is not going to be 1 mark. It's not going to be 5 times 1. Always look at your mark allocation to see exactly what you must do and how much you must answer. List and name means usually 3 times 1 or 5 times 1 or 6 times 1. If you have describe, name and describe, name and explain, you usually have 4 times 2 or 5 times 2 because you have to name it and explain it. And then usually when it comes 3, 4 times 3 or 5 times 3 or 6 times 3, it means that you have to name it, explain it or describe it, and provide an example for me. Okay, look at your mark allocation because that gives you an idea of how much you have to provide in your answer, how much information. Any questions from anybody online? Any questions from anybody online? Doesn't seem like it. Anything in class here? Well, as I said, if you have any problems, you can still mail me and I'll reply, and hopefully I'll be able to help you. And if there's nothing else, then we are finished for the day. We're finished for the week. Good luck. I won't see you before Monday, but I was Tuesday, sorry, but I might speak to you via mail if there's any questions. Okay. I'll keep this open for another 5 minutes or so in case anybody wants to chat. But those on campus in front of me, you're more than welcome. You are excused. You can enjoy a weekend. The usual. Behave yourselves, even if it's badly. But stay safe. There's a gradual increase in the number of infections. The weather has changed. Our bodies are going to be more susceptible. Do some studying, okay, please. Balance your time and manage your time. Okay, keep well, stay safe.
Bye, sir. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
I'm going to try my best. Thank you very much, Kade.
Meneer,
Yes.
ek wil gou weet, gaan ons soos hierdie jaar net online wees of gaan ons soos ergens begin met soos fisies weer eksamens skryf?
Op hierdie stadium is die besluit dat alles word aanlyn gedoen omdat dit gaan basies oor die beperkings wat ons die regulasies wat ons moet aan voldoen om oop te bly as 'n besigheid, die COVID regulasies. Dit is maar in lyn daarmee wat ons dit doen op hierdie stadium. Soos dit verander ons manier van eksamen. Op hierdie stadium weet ek vir 'n feit dit gaan nog aanlyn aan totdat almal ingelig is. Ons sal gewoonlik eers weet en dan sal ons julle inlig en dan sal julle per e-pos en in alle forme van kommunikasie sal julle ingelig word indien daar enige verandering is. Maar op hierdie stadium nee, op hierdie stadium bly alles nog aanlyn.
Okay, meneer, en sê nou maar dit verander nou voor soos Junie. Ons Junie-eksamen gaan nou nog steeds aanlyn bly, al verander dit nou soos volgende week.
Ek dink dit maak sin. Dit is net te veel onnodige veranderinge om mens moet in gedagte neem of in gedagte hou dat jy wil so min moontlik ontwrigting hê vir jou studente. So as dit gaan teweegbring dat ewe skielik mense nou modelings tref om uit te kom by die fasiliteit om eksamens te skryf waar op hierdie stadium hulle dit is net te veel, daar's net te veel moontlike ontwrigtende faktore wat die student se kan beïnvloed en die resultate van so 'n toets of eksamen kan beïnvloed. So dit sal nie iets wees wat kom ons sê op 'n kort kennisgewing geneem word nie en op hierdie stadium beplan ons nog vir die eksamen die vraestel wat ek sover opgestel het is om aanlyn eksamens te wees vir Junie.
Okay. Dankie meneer.
Dit is 'n groot plesier. Geniet jou naweek, Deidre.
Meneer ook, bye bye.
Dankie, bye bye.